عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ثلاث من كن فيه وجد حلاوة الإيمان. There's three things, in other words. Whoever finds them in him will find the sweetness of Iman, حلاوة الإيمان. So من كن فيه, these three things, if they are in that person, وجد حلاوة الإيمان. They experience, because wajada, wijdan is also experience. So it's finding, but wajada, it really has to do with a discovery. If they discover these things within themselves, and that's why Allah, the attribute of what they call sifa dhatiya or nafsiya is wujud. Because and really you could almost translate it as God has findability. In other words, God can be discovered. That we can know Allah. This is one of the great gifts of our Creator to the human being, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can actually be known by Allah's creation. And so wajada means to be ecstatic. So it has the idea of the joy of discovery. Like people get very, I was looking at this mas'ala, and I couldn't penetrate and I was having a really difficult time. So I called one of my teachers. He couldn't get it either. And then there was one word that I looked up, and I said, this means that, because we thought it meant something else. And he's much more learned than I am. But we both got it immediately. And then we were really got excited. And so we were talking about what a blessing it is because he said so often you'll be alone reading and you can't penetrate something, and then you discuss it with somebody else, and then the meaning becomes clear to you. And so there's that joy of discovering something. And Fakhruddin al-Razi, radiyallahu anhu, says that a child will never discover anything except that it will come and want to share it with somebody. And he said that's a proof that the fitrah is to want to share discoveries. That the joy of discovering something, you want to share that joy with other people. So finding the halawa. So what is halawa? And then Ibn Abi Jamrah says, لماذا عبر عن هذا بالحلاوة? And he says, because ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة. The kalima tayyiba, which is Iman, which is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So whoever has halawat al-Iman, it's because they have realized haqqaqa La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about that it's a tree that its fruit is ukluha da'im, like the fruit is constant. So he's saying that this is a real halawa of the fruit of Iman, that you are tasting the fruit of Iman, that it's a dhawq. So Iman has a dhawq, and it's a sweet taste. It's the sweet. Sharia means path to water, and that water is adbun. It's not a bitter water, because Allah made two types of water: bitter water and sweet water. So the Sharia takes you to sweet water. Kufr takes you to bitter water. And Isa in our tradition said that those who love dunya are like somebody who drinks salt water. It just makes them more thirsty until they die. So that's the nature of the dunya. So what are these three things? أن يكون الله ورسوله أحب إليه مما سواهما. That Allah and His Messenger are more beloved to you than your own soul. They're more beloved to you than anything other than Allah. Anything other than Allah. Allah and His Messenger. And the famous moment for Sayyidina Umar is he told the Prophet ﷺ, I love you more than everything except myself. And the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن حتى أكون أحب إليه من نفس التي بين جنبيه. until I'm more beloved than the soul between the two. And he said, Wallahi anta habbu ilayya min nafsi ya Rasulullah. I love you more than myself. And the Prophet said, Al-ana ya Umar. Iktamal al-iman. Your iman's complete. And that wasn't like a phone, hasha. Umar is al-adl. He can only speak the truth. That was his, some of them, يعبر عنه بفناء في رسول الله. It's where the Prophet becomes everything to you. I was with somebody who was a new convert, like his name Mahmoud. He's a new convert. We were in a car, and somebody offered him a date, and he said, "I hate dates." And the Prophet, so we told him, the Prophet ﷺ loved dates. He said, "I love dates," and he took one. So that's a real thing, because you love what the beloved loves. That's human nature. You love what the beloved loves. So that's the first one. وَأَنْ يُحِبَّ الْمَرْأَ لَا يُحِبُّهُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى. That you love a person and you only love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because every other love, مَنْ أَحَبَّكَ لِشَيْءٍ أَبْغَضَكَ لِزَوَالِهِ. Whoever loves you for a thing will no longer love you when that thing is gone. This is why there's marriages that end in divorce as one of the spouses gets older and loses their beauty, because the person married them for. It's very common. You'll see, especially unfortunately amongst men, they'll marry, and then the wife, they hit 40, 45, and suddenly they want a younger wife. And that's because they didn't marry them for the right reasons. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, "Tunkah al-mar'atu li arba'a." A woman is married for 4 reasons. لجمالها لمالها لنسبها ولدينها فاظفر بذات الدين تربت يداك. And that goes vice versa as well. I mean, the Prophet's speaking to men, but it's always mafhum al-mukhalafa. You can understand by just switching it around that the opposite is true. So a man, there's people marry men for their looks, marry men for their money, marry men for their lineage. I mean, here, so some of the commentaries, they say that the Christians married for love, the Jahili Arabs married for nasab, for lineage, and then the Judaists married to maintain wealth in the family. And he said, but the Muslims marry for love, for deen. That's the difference. So you should love a person for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ told us that people will come on the day of judgment, min qaba'il shatta. There's no nasab amongst them. And they're in the shade of Allah. And they said, what's their quality? Mutahabbuna fillah. They loved one another for the sake of Allah. That's why mahabba is a high maqam. Somebody said to Abu Hurairah, uhibbuka fillah. And Abu Hurairah said, Idhan jaybuka jaybi. Then your pocket's my pocket. In other words, your money is my money. He said, La utiquhu. I can't, that's a little too much love. Abu Hurairah said, Ahbib ghayri. Go love somebody else. Because that's real love. He was trying to point out to the man. I mean, Abu Hurairah could care less. He was a zahid. But he was showing him something about, you can say that glibly. You could say that very lightly. Oh, I love you. People say that all the time. Uhibbuka fillah. But do you really love them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In the duties of brotherhood, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali has a man who comes into a house. He asks if the owner was there, and he said no. And he said, where does he keep his money? He said, there. And so he took some money. When he came back, the servant told that, oh, so-and-so came, and he said, alhamdulillah, he knows that I'm his brother. That he would feel that comfortable to do that. So, and that's not something you should do with everybody, but there are people you can do that with. Pray doon. Allah. وأن يكره أن يعود في الكفر كما يكره أن يقذف في النار. That he would detest to return to kufr, disbelief, or also ingratitude, as he would detest to be thrown into the fire. So two of these things are about love, and one of them is about hate, because that's the world. Hub and bughd. It's, Subhanalladhi khalaqa al-azwaja kullaha. Everything's created in pairs. So hub, the pair of hub is bughd. And that's why you can't love something without detesting something else. If you love truth, you will detest falsehood. If you love beauty, you will detest ugliness. You can't love something without having a corresponding bughd. And so the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that love has a counterside, which is karahiyah. So what do you hate? You hate what Allah hates. You hate injustice. You hate lying. You hate theft. You hate adultery. You hate fornication. You hate backbiting. You hate the things Allah kariha lakum al-qil wal-qal. Right? Allah hates gossip. So you should hate that.